Now I'm going to take you guys through the spices that I use to flavor my quinoa, tofu or oat bran based diet recipes. So I'll start from this end. So it's a mishmash of eastern and western spices that I use. In Indian spices, I'm South Indian based, so you'll see things that I use for that as well. So the first one is where's the camera? Oops. Yeah, sumac. That I find is really nice when you sprinkle on cottage cheese. It makes it interesting. And tofu or whatever, you could use that. It's got a nice flavor. And then obviously when you do any quinoa or tofu dinner lunch, and this just adds that bit of zing and kick to it. Chipotle chili flakes, and likewise I've got jerk seasoning. It's not something I've used before. I've not used them. I do more Indian cooking, so I've not used jerk seasoning, so I'm looking forward to trying that. I've got the bouillon powder, which again yesterday I added it to tofu along with soy sauce, and that was quite nice. But it can also be used as to have a hot drink. This is really a lifesaver. That does not have any sugar, so that's fantastic for adding to your main meal, tofu quinoa based main meal. This I add as a garnish, the capers to the salads. So I have make sure that I have something fibrous in my intake. So I take spinach or rocket leaves. So anything that's not very sugary. I take those cabbage. So these are good for adding to that salad mix. And gherkins I snack on. Cocktail gherkins. Horseradish I've tried before with as part of my Indian cooking. It's not actually from the recipes that I'm familiar with, but I've added it to the pasta, sort of Bombay potatoes or something, and that tastes amazing. So this is also something that will add a kick to your tofu. So it's an alternative flavor to the soya-based recipe. You could do something with horseradish and mustard, and that's very usefully that they do a version with no added sugar. So that's fantastic. And then Coleman's mustard, and then miso paste. Miso paste I add to the dishes, or I have it as a drink. In addition, I've got some Indian things that I use. One is turmeric, which I put, and then garam masala. Run out, need to chop up cumin powder, and then that's a rasam powder. That's basically a mixture of various lentils and spices that you use for broth called rasam. So that is added. In addition, I do sun-dried things called martankalika, and that's really nice. So hang on a minute, I'll go and get that. Yeah, so this is the sun-dried thing I've been talking about. It's called manatakali vattal, and it's a sun-dried it's a little fruit, and it's a bit sour, and I like the flavor. It works very well when I do yogurt based quinoa, or even in tofu. You can add it. So you're supposed to normally fry it in oil, but then I dry fry it or just add it while I'm just cooking the tofu, so it just gets cooked in water, which is not how it's supposed to be originally done. It's supposed to be like fried, but for the diet purposes, I still get the flavor of it. I love it. So that adds a bit of a zing. And then this is flax seeds that I add. Oh, I'm terrible using this camera phone. The flax seeds, can give me a bit of fiber. And then in addition, I've got, hang on, this thing, I'm just getting it from the shelf, and this is a pickle, dried pickle that is made from, it's called Karvapala podi, and I believe it is made from curry leaves as well as neem leaf. So that's quite interesting flavor. That it's all these ads makes the daily diet of quinoa and tofu and oat bran palatable, and it gives me variety. So I can do one day with this in yogurt, I can do one day with horseradish, and then one day with Kerala and curry paste. So it just gives me that interesting variation in what I consume. So that's my shopping in terms of condiments. In addition to the spices that I showed you, these are typically Indian spices. So just some examples. There's loads more in the cupboard, that variety. But these add a bit of zing to your so caraway seeds, ajwain. I'm not sure what you call ajwain in English. Ajwain, and that is dried methi powder, methi leaf, which I believe is fenugreek leaf. So all these will add different variation of flavors. So you do the same old day in and day out tofu, quinoa, and oat bran, but by mixing and matching all this and concocting recipes, you would make it a lot more interesting and palatable. So that's the idea. So the Indian recipes, and these are some of the condiments, but there's loads more. I have more North Indian, South Indian, West Indian, East Indian. So it's all different combinations and types of condiments that you can add to. So you go to any local Indian shop and you would find a plethora of things, and I'm sure these are all Dukan inspired diet that I follow, suitable for that, and because they don't have any sugar or anything like that, or carbs. So the main thing is you should not fry them in oil. Instead, I just add to the thing while it is boiling. It's not the ideal way, but it just makes it tastier and interesting.